This then begs the question. Well, with the ISS, I think it's pretty obvious why they're doing that, because they have to sell the idea that space is real, the ISS is real, you can see it, people photograph it, yada, 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 yada. You can also, record these transits, the whole 9 yards. All of that is understandable. But now we're looking at Elon Musk Starlink. Now, what is the purpose of this? Again, why are these objects reflecting light so consistently and none of the other 5,000 objects that are in low Earth orbit reflecting light down to us? That's a hell of a good question. So I think that there are a few possibilities, and one of them, and I want to hear everybody's input on this, one of the possibilities, I think, is, because I showed the Pentagon and the U.S., we have been programmed for years to believe that the aliens are out there. Eventually, we're going to have an encounter. Dr. Werner von Braun told Carol Rogen that eventually we were going to be faced with a phony alien invasion, right? So now they're coming out this more and more overtly. And when I look at these things, and I look at these things in the sky, long time ago, one of the other things I used to do was I repaired televisions, right? And one of the things that we did for televisions is we had to do a convergence alignment, right? So when you are aligning a picture or something that is optical, you have to have, whether it's holographic or whatever, you have to have a proper convergence so that the image, whatever you are putting up there, is converged and it doesn't look like a bad TV picture, right? And mind you guys, this is pure speculation on my part, but it just seems to me that this is some way, the reason that they would be doing this is they're telling us that it's this satellite, but I would think that this would be more likely a holographic projection system that they are trying to, parade around the Earth and get it properly aligned. And let me show you one other thing that I think is really interesting. Let's go to this video. This one right here. Okay, so, and this one, by the way, has disappeared, and I haven't been able to find too many others like this. But I want you guys to look at this. And this guy is showing these satellites, and look what they're doing.
Satellite train floating.
Okay, so he's talking about these, and he goes to this one. Now look what's going on here. Now these things would seem to be, supposedly firing lasers at each other, right? Now, obviously, the problem with this, let me slow this down before I keep talking about it. Let me do this all the way down to slow speed here. All right, so let's get this back up to where we want it to be. Okay, so this again, it appears that they are firing lasers at each other. Now, guys, if this is truly 550 kilometers up, there is no way that we would be able to see a laser beam go from one satellite to the other because there is nothing for that light to refract off of. There's no atmosphere. There's nothing for this to happen off of. So what this tells me is that these objects, if they are indeed firing these lasers back and forth to each other, this tells me that they have to be in the atmosphere. All right. And again, what they're doing is they're doing some sort of an alignment test for a big, giant holographic show. And, Iru has been covering on Jaron's show, he's been covering Operation Bluebeam. And I think that what we are witnessing right here, ladies and gentlemen, is a test of that system. Because when you look at all the things that they're saying and claiming about the Starlink system, it doesn't make any sense at all whatsoever. I mean, it's ridiculous. Why the redundancy? Why would they have something that, they're putting in a ground system and a space system? And you think there's going to be a market? And, you think I'm kidding about, Elon himself even admitting that he doesn't think that it is, let me see, where is it? Let me find it here. Elon himself is saying that it is not going to be any better at all in the cities as far as latency than what is already in place with the existing fiber optic backbone. Well, that's crazy, right? Here it is right here. in Ars Technica, Elon Musk, Starlink latency, will be good enough for competitive gaming, right? Starlink, great in rural areas, but won't have enough bandwidth in big cities. Well, that's a problem. And, again, they're talking about the whole latency thing. And because it keeps getting slower and slower and slower as the system gets more complex, it's not really that great of an improvement in latency. Okay. So, again, you just have to ask yourself, why is he even doing this? Why is this even being launched? And also, why is it that nobody understands how this system works? It's being kept a secret. It's being classified as a weapon, right? And all hush hush about this. And why do we see things like this when these things aren't even supposedly supposed to have lasers that are firing from one to another? Supposedly they were deployed without it. Well, I'll admit maybe they could have been deployed with the lasers. That is, after all, what it was called for, right? But again, if they're 350 miles up, there's no freaking way we're going to see these things, broadcasting a beam of light to each other. So again, my guess is that what we're looking at here is a test of a holographic system, a convergence test, just like they used to do with old TVs, getting this thing ready for prime time to give us a big show. What do you guys think?